Welcome, everyone. This is the 300 Club Podcast. This is episode 18. My name is Gilbert. We got Kelvin over here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's going on, everybody?
What's up, man? Little update about the Mets and the Yankees where they stand in the wild card in the playoff race. Also want to highlight some players, provide you guys some context and how baseball can be perceived versus maybe looking deeper into stats. Anything you want to share on your end before we deep dive?
Yeah, no, we're just gonna be talking about the standings, talking a little bit about what's going on with the Yankees in particular. Some news that has been coming out in recent days. We also want to deep dive into some players that you actually wanted to highlight.
Yes.
In terms of the fans taking things at face value, we're gonna dive deep as to are these players actually as nice as people think they are?
Yeah.
You brought up an interesting perspective, so that's something that I'm actually eager to get into. You brought up some good points. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it as I go ahead and share my screen. All
By the
right.
way, the Mets didn't get no hit today. We won. We scored six runs in the
Word.
ninth. And, we in the midst of it still, man. I'm hyped.
Yeah, yeah, no, I saw that. Francisco Lindor definitely blew it up.
That was clutch, too, in the
That
ninth.
was clutch. Yeah, I
Ooh.
know at the ninth too. That's dope. That's dope. But
Uh,
nonetheless, I mean, the Mets have been rolling. I saw a tweet earlier that they're at least 20 games above 500. But in the past, I forgot how many days. I think it was like at some point at the end of June or whatever the
yeah.
case is. And right now, they're actually in the wild card, which is phenomenal to see. They're a half game up on the Atlanta Braves. So far, our prediction has been correct. We predicted that the Braves were gonna fall off a little bit. Go ahead and take it away, man. It's your team.
I'm excited. We got the bottom seed in the wild card. I believe we're two games separated from the D-backs and the Padres. Again, anything can happen. We still have 7 games coming against the Phillies. I'm looking forward to that. I feel like that's gonna be a make or break. We also have 3 games pending with the Braves too, another make or break series, and then we end the season with the Brewers, one of the teams with the best records this year. So I'm excited. The Mets have 80 wins. We 14 games above 500. I could not imagine that this late in the season will be this up in the standings. Um, yeah, I'm just looking forward. I feel like as long as we get quality baseball in September and I get some type of hope, I'm just excited and looking forward to the team play.
Right, right, right. And I think the one thing that we could highlight is the camaraderie on this team. If you look at this
Yes.
team, how free they have been playing, how expressive they have been, is definitely carried over into great team success. It's phenomenal. And it's not 11. There's a lot of
Yeah.
a lot of emotions at the time of this recording.
Yeah.
By celebrating the anniversary or remembering the anniversary of what happened with the Twin Towers back in the day. And today they're rocking the FDNY hats and paying respects to those fallen heroes and stuff like that. But again, the camaraderie of this team, the emotions behind this team is very, very key, especially midway through September, leading up to playoffs. I think this is something that they could definitely make a lot of noise. I see them as the Diamondbacks of last year, you know?
That's
So,
fair. That's
so I
fair.
think that's pretty good. And if you look at it also, in terms of the last 10, they've been one of the hottest teams in the National League. It's them and the Phillies. 8 of the last 10, I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah, 8 of the last 10 games they won, which is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Big
Um,
series against the Phillies coming up, though.
I got a hot take for you. Well, I
Yep.
don't know if it's a hot take for you, but for whoever's watching, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like a few years ago we had an amazing Yankees and Mets always series around 9/11, right?
Hmm.
I feel like that should be a thing every year where the Mets and Yankees play like a 3 game series or 2 game series around 9/11. I feel like it shows a lot of camaraderie between the Yankees and the Mets. Whoever's the winner and the loser, I feel like everybody wins at the end of the day. I feel like usually playoff base was around this time, so I feel like it adds an extra layer of emotions. And I also liked how a few years ago the Mets wore like the throwback 2000s jersey that said New York. So maybe introduce that for that series every year. I don't know. Just I feel like that's something to circulate, keep the juices flowing, and everybody's home. What do you think?
I love the idea. I love the idea. This is gonna sound like another hot take. But we're here to share different perspectives. Some of the perspectives you guys might not like, other perspectives you guys might, enjoy. I
Yeah,
think this is gonna be one that might ruffle some feathers. I love the idea. I wish they did that 15 years ago. As I go ahead and scroll through social media, I'm looking at we remember 9/11. We remember 9/11. I don't want to sound very selfish, but it happened nearly a quarter of a century ago.
yeah,
At this point, I feel like as a nation, we should probably, I don't want to say move on from it, but I feel like we celebrate it every year or we remember it every year. And it's up to the point where I feel like I don't have the same emotions or the same, yeah, I just don't have the same emotions as I did for it as I did 10 years ago. You know, I feel like a lot of time has passed and I hope that the families of the individuals that we lost have healed. You know, nothing can replace their loss. And I don't mean this in any sort of disrespectful way, but I do feel like maybe we should probably turn over the page on the tragedy. And I feel like in terms of the Yankees and Mets, I feel like they should have done that 15, 10 years ago. I feel like if you try to do it now, it's still like a lot has changed, man. I mean, there's school shootings for Pete's sake, you know? There are a lot of other tragedies that's been going on in the US, not just that, you know? Not only was the Twin Towers, the World Trade Center destroyed, but the Pentagon was hit. There've been assassination attempts and so on. Like a lot of history and a lot of traumatic events has happened since then. And it's like if they didn't celebrate it then, that's MLB's fault. And I feel like that's something that they should have definitely visited back in the day. But at this point, man, selfishly, and again, this is just my personal opinion, and I'll take anything that comes my way. Uh, I feel like the time has passed. What are your opinions?
I respect and understand your answer. I kind of agree too, to an extent. I feel like, and it's not to come off in a way that it's like dismissing what happened, because of course, like tragedy happened. Thousands of people lost their lives, of course, and many families are affected by it. But I feel like it's also okay, like to move on, like yeah, like
Exactly.
when bad things happen, also good things happen too, like it can't just always be highlighting or focusing on negatives. I guess a lot of people feel like we should never forget, and I understand that, but
And we would never
there's
forget.
also this that we will never forget, but I feel like there's also more to look for in life. There's also more to plan for, and it's like I don't know, like this is something more catered to the encoded podcast, but nonetheless that we hear, I feel like it's something that we should try to overcome. We should try to move forward. And to your point, like I feel like MLB, if it's something that they especially glorify, not glorify, but like they center around something like this date, it should have happened many years ago when it was more relevant and sooner to when it happened, in terms of like the scheduling, bringing the city together. So yeah, I understand where you're coming from for sure. It's not something that I feel like it should be as highlighted every single year. Maybe I'm speaking like this because I don't have someone directly that got affected by it. And maybe that changes perspective from person to person. But we'll see.
I mean, and like I said, we don't mean this in any disrespectful
Yeah,
way, you know.
yeah.
But for example, we don't remember Pearl Harbor,
Or nobody, or at least publicly, like to the mainstream media, it's not something that we
right?
speak about every year.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I just felt like it's just something that again we can remember, but I think it's also time to move on in a respectful way.
And like
So
you
good
said,
point
it's been
there.
it's been a quarter of a century. Like we're talking about a whole new generation of people that were born after that.
Yeah, and I feel for those like I know somebody whose birthday is 9/11. I feel bad for
So
those like
now
for those people who
So now you can't celebrate your birthday because it's 9/11, like now it's time
yeah,
to flag.
or a majority of your birthday has been with this tone of
Yes,
and like
yeah,
that's I just feel like it's just time to move on in a respectful way.
yeah,
We will always remember and we always will give gratitude for those that fought for our country and for those that had a phenomenal impact in terms of 9/11 for the sacrifices that they made, but it's okay to move on is my point. So that's how I
yeah.
feel. Nonetheless, let's go ahead and dive into the Yankees now, who again they've been playing a lot of 500 ball lately. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like we could dive deep into them in a different episode, or maybe we have already, but I feel like they've been playing 500 ball for a while now. We've been four of the
Yeah,
last six.
we're pretty steady. Nothing up, nothing too down.
Exactly. And then I think that we've just been waiting on that jump, like that time where we're just going to begin to roll, right? We've had many opportunities to take over the AL East and have a bigger lead. And the Orioles are right there behind us, man. They're not that many that games far back. If I'm not mistaken, I think they're a
They
half game back at
they
this
have
point.
game back, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like, I'm just waiting for the Yankees to get going. I don't want to dive deep into what the standings are with the Yankees because not much has changed in terms of them. The Mets have been rolling, and I would love to talk about that out of further details. But the Yankees, man, I'm not gonna lie, their decisions lately have been blowing my a little bit. One of the decisions that I want to go ahead and get into was the call up of Jason Dominguez, dude. Like we mentioned at a previous episode where You do not have the best non-players on the field. A couple of
Yeah,
days ago, Brian Cashman came out, and Brian Cashman doesn't really speak to the media on a daily basis. But he said right now our best chance of winning is having Alex Verdugo play for us. 2 days later, they call up Jason Dominguez. You know, I don't understand, man. Like,
that's
I
why.
get,
That's why. That's why when I asked you, does it feel like a slap to the face the way the front office
yeah,
projects and speaks to the fan base? Because a lot of it comes out like they're just masking things. They're not really telling you how it is. Because, like you said, like you can't be the GM or the president of operations saying that, and then a few days later indirectly call up this kid, because you emphasize that he wasn't meant to be in the team, and then you write in with Verdugo. So in a way, you got to stand on your business. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. I think Jason Dominguez is the best outcome for the team right now if you want to win. But it just sounds very contradicting to what was said to the media, and to the family.
exactly. No, to your point, I do feel like I feel like sometimes the Yankees have a way of trying to think that the Yankee fans are stupid. And I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of dumb Yankee fans out there. There's a lot of Yankee fans that are just fans just because of the winning culture and they know absolutely nothing about it. I remember in particular, I was watching the Pinstripe Territory podcast, right? Shout out to Pinstripe Territory. It's a podcast that I follow.
Yeah,
Where they had a caller at the beginning of April when Aaron Judge was struggling, and the dude was saying that Aaron Judge sucks, that we should trade him. Those are the
really.
Yankee fans that absolutely gain no credibility at all. But here's the thing, and this is why I think like Yankee fans hate us, is because there's a lot of those people that are Yankee fans that don't know the sport. So I feel like the Yankees more or less have an idea that the Yankee fans are stupid, and we're not. You do have your passionate baseball fans like myself that actually know the game and know what's best from the team and know that from the optics, like, yo, this decision that you guys are making is not the bbest decision. Like, there's
Yeah.
no way in hell that Alex Verdugo is about to break the record for the most ground balls hit on the right side, and he's batting 230, and that he is a better option than Jason Dominguez. There's
Who's
no
the top
way in hell.
prospect too?
Right. Top prospect, the number one prospect. Like, I don't understand it, bro. We've been hearing about this kid since he was 16 years old.
Yo, I feel like I've heard about this kid since I was in high school, bro. That's how I feel, bro.
Exactly. Exactly. So I don't know, man. I just feel like the Yankees front office, like I said, and I'm gonna say it right now, and I mentioned this before, when we had our personal conversations and stuff, off camera, even in probably even in the previous episode, even. I feel like if the Yankees lose this year,
Yeah,
I won't be that upset.
really.
The reason why is because I feel like in order for things to finally, I feel like when the changes need to occur, bad things need to happen. And I said the same exact thing last year. What happened? They ended up hiring an analytics department. They ended up firing a couple people. Not George Starburner. I'm sorry. Hal Steinbrenner ended up having these meetings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Uh, you had Brian Cashman lash out at the media. Tensions were high. And guess what? We started seeing the changes that we had to see. And I feel like this year in particular, if that was the case once again, I feel like it's going to bring upon the change that we so desperately need. And again, I raised the question, how good of a GM is Brian Cashman?
That's a fair question because I feel like I I would say from my perspective as a Met fan and as a baseball fan who's been living in New York for some time, I feel like part of his success was kind of given to him. What I mean by that is like he already had a core and he had an owner that was willing to spend unlimited amount of money. So you could build the team that you want. You know what I mean? You could get the free agent you want. You can get the best baseball player in the planet when you have Alex Rodriguez and the owners willing to trade for him and eat some of the contract. You can get Mark Teixeira. You can get CC Sabathia. You know what I mean? You can get Tino Martinez. Like
Right.
he came by at a good time at the peak of the Yankees, and he hasn't been able to replicate that roster success since '09, bro. And hot take, in my opinion, I feel like that '09 championship team, I feel like they should have had a longer run, in my opinion, like in terms of possibly being a dynasty. I feel like they had a core that it may be from like '09 to like 2012. I feel like if they had it right, they could have won all those years, and they didn't. Like, I don't know, bro. I don't know. I feel like I see what you're saying. Like maybe in order for something drastic to happen, or for the model and the infrastructure of the Yankees to change, something drastically bad has to happen. I feel like not making the World Series is a big disappointment for the Yankees this year. especially with the added pressure of a guy like Juan Soto as a pending free agent. If you let that go, what do you do next? Like I don't know. My question to you is, who's on the hot seat? Is it Cashman or is it Boone?
It's both. It's both.
I don't think
There's
both
no
will happen.
reason, bro. There's no reason that to this day we are still paying Josh Donaldson, that we are still paying Aaron Hicks. We have $30 million left on DJ LeMahieu's contract. He's probably not gonna play the rest of the year. He's
There's a lot of
probably not
contract
gonna
changes.
play for the Yankees
Yeah.
anymore. I'm gonna be honest. He probably not gonna do that. He's on the Ghost IL. Like literally. And it's like, yo, like, how much more money is he gonna be throwing out the window? And how
Nah.
doesn't see that? I don't get it, you know? And I had this thing where like when we let go of A-Rod, we still owe him $30 million.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I think that we ended up paying around 20 something for Josh Donaldson. The total of Aaron Hicks' contract is roughly around $30 million as well. The
Jeez.
Yankees,
A lot of contracts a year.
their sponsor on the patch that they wear,
The star.
it's giving them $30 million a year. So rather than have that being extra revenue, you're using that revenue in order to cover these bad contracts that the GM is offering these players, dude. I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to dive into,
But when you say things like that, I feel like it
it's
also affects the
crazy.
team's success in the future because now, you know, how maybe like, damn, like we're getting a lot of losses, like revenue wise, year to year. I'm not trying to go above the certain tax threshold, even higher to get a better player to recoup for the losses of those players. So now you put
Exactly.
yourself, now you kind of handcuff yourself. You know what I mean?
Let me ask you a different question. We weren't going to discuss this originally, but I feel like this contract might have revived some value, and it involves Giancarlo Stanton. He gets paid $25 million a year. He gets 5 million from the Marlins, right? That was a deal. At this point, Giancarlo Stanton is approaching 30 home runs, and
Yeah.
compared to previous years, he's been healthy. I think he missed about a month and a half, but he's been healthy. Maybe that's a contract that they're probably going to want to move going into the offseason. It could be something where they pay half the contract, another team pays the other half. Let's say, easy numbers, let's say about 15 mil. If a team takes on Giancarlo Stanton's contract, who by the way has a no trade clause,
True.
uh, if they ended up picking up his contract, essentially you're getting a Jorge Soler type of player for $15 million in Giancarlo Stanton. I think that's a tradable piece. Somebody, some way is going to want that. It's just whether or not he's going to avoid the trade. Would you trade Giancarlo Stanton?
I feel like he should have been traded years ago. I feel
But
like
at what
one.
value, though? If anything, he's probably reworked his value right now.
That's fair. I do think this season he's upped his value some more than the last 2, 3 years, perhaps. It does help that you have Soto on the team. I feel like him, Soto, and Judge are locked in. I feel like it helps. Like as I called him the big three.
Yeah.
But I do think years ago you should have traded him. More so because you have a guy like Aaron Judge. In my opinion, I feel like when they got Stanton, they probably didn't think that Judge would come up at all, or maybe he would have been traded, or maybe he wasn't going to pan out because that's
Or
what
just do
I
Yankee
think got
stuff.
Stanton.
Like, just bring him up, bring him down, bring him up, bring him down,
But
trade him,
now,
DFA him, and then he's going to kill for another team.
so I feel like when Judge put that monster rookie year, I feel like the year after Stanton should have been gone because I feel like one, they both play the same positions. They both monsters and huge. One is just way more injury, a liability with the injury and the health factor. Why not trade him? And he was also much younger. He was
Yeah.
still in his prime. Like maybe not every team will want him, but there's some teams that are willing to fish
Yeah.
and see what they can get.
It's also the fact that they chose Stanton over Bryce Harper. Dude,
And Machado,
crazy.
no?
Well,
That
Machado
was
was
the
at
same. I
later
think that
years,
was
but
the same draft. I think
in,
that was the same free agency class.
in terms of like position wise, it's just crazy to me.
Oh
But
yeah, 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 yeah.
uh, another thing that we dropped the ball on, I think, is honestly just Anthony Volpe, dude. I think that he's finally getting exposed, and I wanted to go ahead and share this. This dude, there was a statistic where the last time that he had a day off, a full day off, because that's the other thing too. He had an off day the other day for the first
Yeah,
time since like March.
yeah.
March, like you only play like a week into March,
Yo, bro,
but
but from what I see right now, he's a below average player, bro. From what I see in the numbers.
offensively, yes, he's been completely below average, and I think it has to do with exhaustion. He's playing a very demanding position in a very demanding team. Like when I look at the way that he's swinging the bat, I always feel like he gets beat by the ball each and every time.
That's how
Like
I feel
the
about Pete.
yeah, and look at his bat speed. It's in the 15th percentile. Like, and it shows that tells me that he's exhausted, dude. And maybe he could be focusing a little bit too much on defense, not enough on offense. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But the fact that we've passed on the Trey Turners of the world, the I can't think, Corey Seager, Carlos Correa, Manny Machado, we passed on these players for this individual. And yes, he's a phenomenal shortstop defensively, but offensively, he's been underperforming, and it's been a while now. Like it's been exposed. This is 2 full seasons of this type of production. You know?
Do you think? Do you think his hitting approach from what you see? Do you think it's coming off as a all or nothing swing, or do you think?
No, I just think he's falling behind it. Like he does his this bat movement where when the pitch is loading up, I feel like he's not really in a full hitting position. I still feel
Mm,
like he's still adjusting his hands on the bat as the ball is approaching versus just being sturdy and ready to hit. Like it looks as though like there's still some movement, and then right when the ball is coming, he grips the bat and then he starts to hit it.
so you feel like
And he's late on it every time.
he's not locked and loaded when the pitch is about to be released.
It's the hands specifically. If you notice his swing, if you notice his swing, I don't know how to describe it well, but usually when you're getting ready to hit the ball, the bat is either straight on up or at least closer towards your ear, right?
Yes, yes.
When he's about to hit, the ball is neither diagonal toward his ear, is neither up, it's literally a little bit beyond that.
Oh wow, that's too
So it's
far.
kind of like, how the hell are you going to be beating 99? You're going to get beat by it every single time.
But question: you don't think that's a job of a hitting coach? Like, why is that not? Why is that not something that they should talk about? Like, once they pick up on those things. Nowadays, that you have more and more data, you have iPads between at bats. You know, like you have more film more than ever. You don't think that's something that they work on? You know.
I feel like when once you start getting behind the ball, because the hitting coach can tell you this day in and day out, but guess what? When he's working with you, the ball's not coming at you 99 miles an hour. You know what I'm saying? I feel
Yeah,
like it's
yeah,
exhaustion. And I
yeah.
do think that the Yankees need to start giving this kid more days off, give him a fucking break. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like they're dropping the ball on him. But another player who has been excelling, at least in his role right now, has been Austin Wells. The catcher position right now is not known for being a hitting position as it once was considered to be. But Austin Wells is definitely building a case to be rookie of the year. He has a 252 average, 342 on base percentage. His OPS is nearly at 800. He's been batting fourth for the Yankees. He has way more red and his percentiles versus Anthony Volpe. And honestly speaking, he just looks very comfortable with the Yankees. His defense has definitely been one to question at the beginning of the year, and now he's catching over Jose Trevino. So he definitely has improved. I think he's built a strong case to be rookie of the year, dude.
Is that someone you feel comfortable batting fourth in a playoff game, though?
I feel like it works. Yeah. In a playoff game, here's the thing. I feel like his swing is so simplistic. And back in the day when I used to play catcher, I feel like it gave me the advantage because as I'm catching, I'm timing pitches. You see what I'm saying? And it kept me a little bit more zoned in. And I feel like for somebody like Austin Wells, who it doesn't look like he gets rattled often, to be honest with you. Like he looks like he belongs in the MLB, and he literally plays like a veteran. So I feel like
Hmm.
this is a player who I feel like has a great potential. His hitting has never been in question. It's always been his defense. And hey, man, you should know because you're one of these. A hitter could hit, bro. And I feel like he's definitely got that. He doesn't really chase that often. Bat speed could definitely improve, but he's been barreling it up. And in playoffs, hey, that's gonna come in clutch.
So
Um, we shall see.
would you say the Yankees are using him for not to be like a person that's driving in runs, but a person to get on the base for like let's say a Stanton that's batting after him, perhaps?
I just think that he provides solid protection behind
Judge
Aaron Judge,
and for
Juan
Stanton.
Soto, exactly, and then Stanton behind him. I just feel like he provides like he's not like that bat that you can't make a mistake on, but he's one that if you do make a mistake, he'll capitalize on it. Like imagine you're pitching carefully to Juan Soto, you're pitching extra carefully to Aaron Judge, and
Ahí
then
lo
when you
ready.
think you're right, and then when you think that you can slack, we have a excuse me, we have a great hitter in Austin Wells, and guess what? If he misses, we have excuse me another Stanton. Um, so I just feel like right now he should not change anything. His swing reminds me of Yeah, Jason Giambi, actually.
Ooh,
Less on from a power perspective, but similar in stance, similar finish. He has a stash also, but I just mean in terms of like bat path, they're very,
yeah.
very similar.
Okay.
Um, at least up until when he drives the ball. When he finishes, it looks a little bit differently. But I definitely see that. And who knows, man? I think the sky's the limit. He's definitely going to be in the running for rookie of the year, as well as Luis Hill. We'll see how Crowder ends up running it. But from a catching position, having to man this pitching staff, about a seven-man pitching staff, the dude has been excelling, man. I cannot ask more from this guy at all. At all.
So you
Um,
feel satisfied with what he's giving you this year?
yeah, I mean, especially from a catching position, and if I'm not mistaken, he's catched like majority of the games at this point. Like Jose Trevino only catches like once per week at this point, you know? And I just think that's the Yankees just trying to excel his progression a little bit. I just hope and pray to God he doesn't get injured or he doesn't get tired at the end of the year because this is the most amount of games he's played and it's the
Yeah.
most amount of time that he spent squatting, being a
Yes.
catcher. That's tough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Another person who I feel like just needs to do a little bit better, man, and I hate to say it, is Aaron Judge. Ever since the Paw Patrol episode, dude, like he's been struggling. And remember, you asked the question, do you think that he'll break his record? You said yes. I said no. And I said because I feel like pitchers are not going to throw to him. That is the case as to why he's been struggling, but he's also been striking out a little bit more too. What are you seeing out of
Uh,
this, man?
I feel like with this slump, I feel like with this slump, it's probably not looking good for that record that he wants to break.
Yeah, forget about
Uh,
it.
we probably got what like 18 more games possibly.
Yeah.
I don't see it, bro.
Yeah.
I'll take that love stare.
Yeah. I mean, and it's fine. I mean, he started off slow at the beginning of the year.
Yes.
And it's the dog. I mean, it's the dog days of the summer. Now
Slow
we're going
season, bro.
into September. And listen, bro, even though he might be struggling, the team still needs to step up. And this is
Yes.
something that I see out of the Mets, dude. The Mets just have a way of just pick
Scrapping.
up. Yeah, exactly. They keep fighting. They keep scrapping. Like for example, I'm gonna be honest. If it was the other way around, where if the Yankees were about to get no hit, no doubt in my mind, they would probably have gotten no hit. But look at the Mets. Francisco Lindor ends up getting a home run in the ninth inning. That shows real
Yeah,
fight there. You see what I'm
that's
saying?
tough. And they
The
scored
Yankees,
6 runs on that. That's even harder.
right? You know what I'm saying? And like, look at the Yankees. Last what was it? Last night? Yeah, they were shut out by the Cubs. They looked lifeless. Seth Lugo, former Met, was pitching and he was rolling. I think he retired like 17 straight batters, bro.
Loyal,
Now,
bro.
yeah, not one of those batters stepped out of the box.
Oof.
Not one of them. So it's just one of those where I feel like it depends on how the Yankees wake up that morning, dude. If they're not in it, they're not in it. And I'm surprised that they did not get no hit this year because the offense has just been that inconsistent, dude. I don't know.
Yo, quick
I don't know.
question. With the new rules when you're batting, you can only go time out, what is it, once per at bat or once per
Yep.
game per batter?
No, once per at bat.
So if you're batting, let's say 4 times, you can call 4 timeouts, like one of
Yeah,
each
yeah,
at
yeah,
bat.
yeah, yeah.
Or
Juan Soto does it all the time.
just
Juan Soto
one
does it.
during the
Yep.
whole duration of the at bat, right?
Yeah, exactly. You get one step out every at bat, and not one of them did that. When
Mm.
Seth Lugo was doing it, I just felt like they just wanted to get the game over with. And I don't know, man. Like I said, there's some real question marks around this team. I hope that they can get it together. I hope that the impact of Jason Dominguez helps the team. And if we're not successful towards playoffs, dude, the expectation is World Series. It's
Yeah,
no longer playoffs. It's no longer
yeah.
just make it to the playoffs. It is no longer just getting out of the first round. It's making the World Series. And I feel like if we don't make the World Series, we're gonna see more changes, necessary change. That's just how I am. How I feel right now.
I,
Right.
I hope everything works out, man. But if nothing works out, I agree. I feel like, and then I've
Yeah.
been saying this. I've been down on that hill every year. I feel like something has to give, bro. Because at the end of the day, like, yeah, I'm not a Yankee fan. I'm a Mets fan, but I want New York to win, man. Like, I feel like New York has really risen compared to other cities in terms of championships. So why not?
Yeah. We're gonna go ahead and switch gears into something that you wanted to highlight, something that I've been eager ever since to highlight ever since you mentioned it, and that's looking at things at face value. I'm gonna go ahead and allow you to take the wheels on this.
So you got a guy like, I'm doing a comparison between Luis Arias, Carl Schwarber, and Ellie De La Cruz, right? Three phenomenal players in their own right. You got Luis Arias, he's a two-time batting champ. This year, he has a pretty good average. He has a 318 average. He has a 351 on base. He has a 389 slugging. That is nasty, bro. That is
Right.
nasty. The OPS is below 800. It sees here that he's leading the league in hits, 184, and I think he's leading the National League in batting average at 318, right? This dude only has 22 walks. That's a concern to me. Like, I feel like if you're hitting that high of an average, that OBP should be much higher because the OBP is pretty good in regards to like league standards. But
Are
I
we
feel like
speaking
for
about Luis Ariz?
yes,
Okay.
I feel like for that standard of batting average so high, I feel like the OBP should be even much higher because what it's telling me is that he's mostly only getting on base on hits. He's not drawing walks and he's not getting hit by pitches or nothing else. He only has 22 walks and 600 plus plate appearances. That's crazy, bro. He has 26 strikeouts. That's also impressive. He's not striking out a lot, but if you're only hitting singles, how productive are you, right? And if you look deeper into the numbers, it shows you that he's not really as good as the surface value numbers look. Like an average fan or a casual person would look at batting average. Oh, he's hitting 318. He's having a phenomenal year. He's leading the league in hits, phenomenal year. Look at the OPS plus. Like we said before, the OPS plus league average is around 100 flat, right? He's at a 107. So that's telling me that he's just barely meeting the requirements to be an above average player in baseball, right? As of this season, right? Then you switch gears to a guy like Kyle Schwarber. He's known for slugging home runs, having low batting averages in his career. But
Untraditional leadoff man also.
he became a awkward, unique leadoff hitter in the last few years with the Phillies, right? This guy, he draws tremendous amount of walks. Like this guy is scoring the last 3 years, he's scoring over 100 runs a season, right? He leads the league in walks currently. He has 176 strikeouts. That's a lot. Like it's crazy. He has
Yeah.
more strikeouts than hits. But look at that. He has 35 home runs, has 95 RBIs. He's hitting 251. But look at the OBP, 372. So when you compare a guy like Arias, whose OBP's in the 350s, to a guy like Schwarber with a 60 point difference in batting average lower, but about 20 points higher in OBP, like who do you take? Do you take the guy that gets more singles with a higher average, or do you take the guy that strikes out more but gets on base more and hits with more power more, drives in more runs and also scores more runs? You know what I mean? Now you
I
look
feel
for
like I'm sorry. I feel like I know your answer in comparing the two because you're a big OPS guy and
yeah,
slugging guy. And I agree with you. I'm definitely taking Kyle Schwarber because the other thing about Luis Arraez that I noticed is that he really doesn't even steal that much. Like
nothing.
he has less as I pointed out right here. He has less than 10 steals this year. So it's kind of like you're getting on base on a single, but it's not like you're even getting yourself in scoring position.
Thank you.
Like
Great point, bro. Thank you. So if you're not putting yourself in a scoring position, you're kind of making it harder for your teammates after you, bro. Because now you need at least two, maybe three hits to get you to score versus a guy like Schwarber who's getting on base more frequently at a higher rate and hits for more extra bases. Like you're more than likely to score at a higher clip. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, I know, I agree. And at the end of the day, at the end of the day, he could drive himself home hitting homers. You know what I'm saying?
He's driving himself home. Look at
Yeah,
this. His OPS plus is at 142. So that's telling me that a guy with a significantly less batting average is a way better player in terms of saving metrics and analytics than a guy that is leading the league in batting average. Like I feel like that's also a different way to start looking at players and value them. Like, oh, this guy's better than this. And you got a guy like Schwarber who didn't make the All Star team, but then you got a guy like Arias who did. And numbers say that a guy like Schwarber this year is better than Arias. You see what I mean with the numbers? Like, it's very skewed when you just look at things very surface, like, oh, batting average, home runs,
yeah,
RBIs. Like, sometimes it requires like a deep dive on that. You know what I mean?
yeah. And now in comparison to Ellie De La Cruz, I know we don't have much on Ellie De La Cruz, or we only had about a season and a half. But what can you say
Yeah.
about him?
Oh, this guy, he's special, but I really want him to like cut down the strikeouts. As you can see, this guy he's
A
leading the league in
lot.
strikeouts, bro. He's about to have over 200 strikeouts in a season. You know how crazy that is, bro? For especially for a guy who's so fast like him too. Um, we play a different type of baseball nowadays. Like if he played, let's say 10, 15 years ago, I'm pretty sure the strikeouts will be lower because he probably will be asked to bunt more, Uses wheels to get on base more. But nowadays we prefer homers and strikeouts over bunting and steals.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, though, he's a very electric player. I wanted to highlight that he's also hitting in the 260s for average. His OVP is around league average, but it's good compared if you comparing it to his batting average. You know what I mean?
There's a
He's
big gap
really
there.
It's a big gap. The OPS is over 800. He's still slugging, 23 homers. He's gonna surpass 100 run score pretty soon. Part of it is because when he gets on base, he's an automatic scoring position guy. Whether he's at first, you get a single in the gap, he's likely scoring. Or if the offense is struggling, he could get himself to third base, and you got a sac fly or a grounder on the other side of the field, and he comes in. So like he's that dynamic of a player, and I feel like he's also a player that if you look at OPS plus, it's not as high as Schwarber, but it's also higher than Arise. So it's telling me that this guy's also better than Arise this year. And it goes back to the point, like he's just more dynamic and impacts the game in much different, wider ranges than a guy like Arias. So I just wanted to highlight that certain players, you have to look deeper and deep dive to get the knowledge to like understand like how do I judge player? How do I value like this guy is not that good or this guy is good, this guy's overrated, this guy sometimes has bad luck, things like that are different factors. Um, what do you have to say about that?
No, yeah, I love the deep dive. I think you highlighted something that needed to be highlighted. I mean, we are big fans of Luis Ariz. I mean, we're not trying to discredit him by any means. I mean,
No,
this dude
no.
has struck out twice since the
Yeah,
All-Star break, which is a phenomenal achievement. Doing it in the major leagues is great. But at the end of the day, you do need to deep dive to determine the type of players that they are. This is what's going to determine their contracts. You know, this is why these players get paid $8 to $10 million versus somebody who gets paid $20 to $30 million.
little
This is
things like that.
also, yeah, this is also a reason why sometimes, and I've been at fault of this, there are times where like these caliber players who, yeah, on the surface of you might think they're great players, but they're actually not, that they remain free agents.
Yeah,
And it's like you question, like, why is there nobody picking these up? Well, if you do a deep dive on the numbers, you will see that all he does is gets hit. That's no more than a ninth hole hitter. You know what I'm saying? And in a sport where we don't even bunt like that even anymore. So no, yeah, I agree. Eddie De La Cruz needs to cut down on the strikeouts. First and foremost, love him as a player. I hope that he remains at shortstop. But I mean, he's fulfilling that home run strikeout thing. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Carl Schwarber, on the other hand, in comparison to his previous years, he's actually batting a little bit better this year. And I just think that just has to do with the Phillies' overall success. He's not your stereotypical leadoff hitter. I think Trey Turner is now, but he was leading off for them for a couple years now. Um, and it just highlights as to who they are. You know what's astonishing to me is the fact that Joey Gallo is like the worst hitter in baseball, and he gets paid more than these guys.
Yo, what team is he in right now, bro?
The Washington Nationals, and he's batting a buck
Really?
60. Yeah. Like that gets me tight. I tell my girlfriend this all the time. This dude gets paid $10 million. He gets to travel the world and he bats 160. I don't
Huh?
understand that. And you know what the crazy thing is with Joey Gallo? I feel like I know what's wrong with his swing. Like if you look at the way he swings, his foot is still up when the ball is halfway through the going to the plate.
Oh, you
Like he
that
is just late each and every time, and he gets
and
beat each and every time. And I feel like
he
that
has a
has to
very
do with
long swing too. That doesn't help.
yeah. So it's just like one of those where I just feel like I don't know, man. Like you do have to
But
dive deep into these numbers, man.
but on Joy Gallo, real quick, I did think he was gonna be a beast when he came up.
Of course, we all did.
And I feel like his first full season, like this guy, well, the batting average wasn't cute, but the power numbers are there. So you feel like, maybe he will increase it over time, but I feel like he just couldn't see the ball ever, and then
Yeah, man.
back to the mechanics and the swing, it was a recipe for disaster in my opinion.
I feel like he got really exposed when he got traded to the Yankees. Not because he wasn't performing well in New York, but I mean, it just showed me the type of player that he is, man. Like I was there when he hit his first Yankees home run. I was actually on the video, like jumping up and down. Like I called it, like it was a home run. It was a home run, and it was barely 315 down right field line in Yankee Stadium, bro. And it's just
Hmm.
crazy that he wasn't even that successful for us. But a short right field porch, I don't get it.
Well, the fans also didn't help too.
Yeah, but I mean, dude, like his swing has not changed since he left Texas. And you know what that tells me? He got that Chris Davis syndrome. Remember him from the Orioles?
Ooh,
There,
Chris
there was
Davis.
because there were two Chris Davises. There was the one for the A's and then the one for the Baltimore Orioles. There was an article that came out with Chris Davis and it said, I know we're getting off topic, but um, he said that he did not feel the need to change his swing. And he continued to be one of the worst hitters in baseball. I think he went like nearly half a season without getting a hit, without getting a hit. And he refused to change his swing no matter what. And it's like, if you're not adapting with the times, man, I don't know what to tell you, bro.
I feel like from what I know and read, I think it's a little deeper than that because before the drastic fall off, he was a decent hitter. He was actually a good hitter for a power hitter, you know.
Chris
It's
Davis, right?
huh?
Chris Davis?
Yeah, the first
Yeah.
baseman. Yeah, like his best season, he was third for MVP. He hit 286 OPS of 1,000. You know, 53 dingers, 138 runs driven in. I read somewhere that the reason why he fell off is because he was taking a prescription, and the MLB eventually decided that the prescription that he was taking was illegal, so that affected him. I don't know if it wasn't steroids, but it was like a legal drug that he needed. I think it was like ADH or something like that, or
I think I read
Adderall,
some, yeah, I think I read something
something
like
along
that too.
those
Yeah.
lines that he needed, and he was prescribed. He was cleared off.
It wasn't a
You know,
performance enhancer, but more like a mental thing. Or
yes, and then I
yeah.
guess over time, like that, whatever he was taking didn't meet the criteria for baseball, and he wasn't allowed to take it. So that just discombobulated his whole game. It's unfortunate because I feel like he was dope. Like I will never forget a guy like that. Like like him in his prime, like he was one of the best players in baseball. You
He was
know,
bro. His forearms are like four of mine, bro. This dude
dude.
was crazy strong.
And he's a late bloomer because he started his career with Texas and he wasn't really blooming. You know, he was like a project. You know what I mean? But then he found it in the Orioles. The Orioles made the playoffs in those years too. But he just fell off crazy. And hey, lucky for him though, he got his money deferred and he's still getting paid, bro. He's
Yeah,
still
right. Which is crazy to me, bro. There's
yeah.
people out here starving like me. Anyway, let's go ahead and wrap this up, yeah.
Guys, make sure to subscribe, share, comment, write in the comments whatever you guys want to suggest, what you want to talk about. What do you guys agree or disagree with? Ideas for us to talk about too. We can cover it. I'm just excited, man, for September baseball. We're almost halfway through the month. I feel like the years is flying by quick, bro. What do you think, bro? I feel
Yeah,
like
I feel
this.
like I feel like it's flying by. I feel like it went kind of slow for us in August.
Yeah,
Dog days of summer type of thing. But nah, man, I'm ready for the playoffs, man. I'm ready
yeah.
for, I saw that the Angels are out of the playoffs now officially. Anthony Rendon got another injury, which is crazy.
Yo, I saw that,
Yo,
bro.
bro, he
Oh
stole
man.
the money, bro.
Nah, he's a thief, bro. He's a
Yo,
thief, bro.
it's crazy, but nonetheless, man, I'm so excited for playoff baseball. I'm tired of talking about these irrelevant teams. Hopefully, the White Sox can go ahead and break that record. I love seeing history.
Yo, I was just gonna bring it up. I was gonna ask you that if you were in that hat was a coincidence or not, because damn, but that team sucks, bro.
Yeah, no, it was on purpose. It was on purpose. I have this thing where I feel like if I was to ever put like a team as a password, like bad things start happening. Or like if I wear their hat too often, bad things start happening. It can't get worse than what is going on right now. So hopefully they start doing better. That's why I'm wearing the hat. But
I
nonetheless,
got
man, the
I got
Chicago White
something to
Sox
ask you.
suck.
I got something to ask you real quick, That we speaking on the White Sox real quick. Something fun. If you was a professional baseball player, let's say you a rookie or your second or third year in the league in the majors, right? And you're playing for this White Sox team where they're 33 and 114 losses. How do you feel, bro? Like how does that feel for you? Especially let's say in your history, let's say in high school you played on a good baseball team. You made the playoffs. Maybe you competed for a championship. You went to college. You went to the program. Uh, you guys had success in college, and then you get to the minors. The team is solid in the minors, and then you get to the majors, and this is like your first taste of like a losing team. Like, how do you feel about that as a young player, bro?
Oh,
What's your mentality?
it's deflating, and I think it really depends on the type of character that you are. Because, for example, there are people who pressure makes diamonds.
Yeah,
That they'll look at the situation and they'll wake up every day 5 a.m. They something turns on in their brain where they just really dive deep into who are they trying to become. And I feel like this is the best opportunity for somebody to become the face of the franchise, man.
That's
Like
fair.
even though the team might not be that good, but guess what? The opportunity for kids to buy your jersey for years on end for this franchise. Like if I'm Miguel Vargas right now, bro, dude, this offseason, like you're going from LA to Chicago. And
Woo.
it's like I'm looking at that, like, you know what? I'm gonna become the face of the franchise. I'm gonna, even though the team might not be successful, I'm gonna do whatever I can possible to put my name out there. Maybe you get traded, but at the end of the day, I feel like I'm gonna give you my honest answer. As much as I would want to, put the battery on my back and be the face of the franchise and be the best player that I could be, being on a team like this does diminish your value because you're not gonna be having as much RBIs. You're not gonna be seeing as many pitches because teams are
Yeah.
gonna want to avoid you. So there's that, and I feel like the honest truth answer is I feel deflated, bro. If I could, I'll call out of work every day.
But I feel like I agree. It could be a great opportunity for someone who's on a rental, for someone who's looking for a big payday, maybe in the year after as a free agent. You know, it's an opportunity. Maybe you're a young kid. There's not a lot of depth in the charts, so you're gonna have your turn to play and showcase yourself. But I feel like for being a team like this historically bad, I feel like it could also be damaging you. You know, it could hurt your player development.
Yeah.
It could hurt your mental health, your psyche. You know, and it can impact your future career, you know? So it's like, I don't know, bro. I wouldn't be happy. I'm a player that I like competing, I like winning. Even if I lose, I like losing and being worthy of losing. Like, what I mean by that is like, I gave him my all, my team gave him my all. We lost by like one. Like, we just got beat. But this is beyond embarrassing, bro.
They're not a major league team.
I don't know, bro.
And I look at it and I want to end up with this point. Drew Thorpe won Pitcher of the Year from the minor leagues for the Yankees last year. He ended up being involved in that package for Juan Soto to go to San Diego. He then got traded once again to the Chicago White Sox for Dylan Cease. Imagine being considered a future ace for the best franchise in the MLB, right? I
Yeah,
think it's safe to say that. And then
yeah.
be highly thought of and get traded to the Padres,
We
and
still like that.
you're still in the playoff hunt, right? You could still
Yeah.
possibly be, an ace or a quality starter, and then you get traded to the White Sox, dude. If I'm Drew Thorpe, man, first off, watch out for Drew Thorpe. I think he's a special kind of cat, and it's just deflating. But nonetheless, man, thank you for watching the 300 Club podcast. We had a lot of fun discussing all of these topics. Shout out to Gil for thinking about these topics. It was really fun, man. Go ahead and follow us on the 300 Club podcast across all platforms, Instagram, X, TikTok. If you guys have any questions, feel free to DM us. Feel free to email us at the 300 Club podcast at gmail.com. And yeah, thank you for watching episode 18. Go ahead and sign us out.
Let's go Mets. Let's go Yankees. This is 300 Club Podcast, episode 18. You know, we out of here.